Hi guys, this week we're going to look at character arcs. Let's start with what is a character arc. A character arc is taking your character from this position through a story that affects them and maybe forces them to change and how they are at the end. It's always considered an arc. They start down here, they go through all this big change, they resolve the change within their personality, and it comes down here. It may do this, who knows. But the theory is that the person has to be different at the end to the start. So that's the concept of a character arc. The change, the arc the character goes through when they go through their transformation, when they become the new person that they are. Is a character arc needed? Some people will force the term character arc into something to sort of go, yes, it's needed. I would say no. And there's the classic ones, like Captain America never changes. He is always the Boy Scout. Even, say, Ripley in Alien. We don't see her to fully understand her. She's second in charge behind Scarrett's character, Dallas. But she is already fairly kick-ass when that story starts. When they want to come back in, she's like, no, you're not coming on the ship, they're staying in quarantine. She's always down to fact. She is pretty kick-ass as a person. Then when people start dying around her, she takes more command. But she's self-preservation taking command. If we look at the Maslow's hierarchy of needs, she's starting to come down to that base need of, I'm not going to be somebody else's food. And at the end of it, she's still sort of in control of her own destiny, coming up with solutions, doing things. So her arc is, it's flat. But people say it's a physical arc. Then I say, it's still a character arc, because she starts off on a ship with a crew going forward, and in the end, she's going to blow the whole ship up, and she's by herself, and that's her arc. Now, that's the story. We don't see a huge emotional change in Ripley. We don't see that sort of, I'm down here. The Sam Neill one a little bit feels like it's glued on in Jurassic Park. I'm down here hating kids, and at the end of Jurassic Park, I like kids. That's very much a Disney arc, and that's a way of demonstrating it. I'm not a big fan of that. There is also the there and back again story, where a person starts here with a sort of character, who they are. They go through this whole big thing, and then they're back where they're beginning. And they're reflecting on it. We don't really see the change, but we see that they're ready for the change. They've gone there and they've come back again, and they're sitting in the same spot going, what the hell just happened to me? There is another arc you can do, and not a lot of people talk about this one. You can take the audience on an arc. The audience can have a journey as much as the character can have a journey. You can start with a situation where most people are going to go, no, I'm not down with that. That is not the thing I want to see happen. And that's in their mind. If you've read the book, there's a thing called moral neutrality. Moral neutrality is where you'll tell yourself a story to get yourself back to a moral place where you feel centered. You're morally neutral in a thing. So they're going, no, that person dying, I'm not happy with that. I just heard Quentin Tarantino and Roger Avary on their podcast talking about The Great Waldo Pepper. And the audience that watched that film back in the 70s said once Susan Sarandon died, they couldn't engage with the film anymore because they couldn't bring that action back to a morally neutral position, which made them easy for them to accept it. So you start people off over here with a certain situation, and you show them something where they're going to go, no, I'm not down. And then you start showing them small things, and you force them to go, well, in that situation, okay, maybe. And then another situation, and then a third, and then a fourth. And then you force the audience to break with their original understanding. And now they're in limbo. They don't know what to understand. So you maybe test them, and you show them the inhumanity of their original idea. They can't go back. So then you start showing them new ways of thinking, and then at the end you show them a very similar scenario to the first one, And they're going, I understand now. Yep, I understand. You're right. You showed me someone dying over here and I was all against it. Now, after seeing this whole thing, shoot him in the head. I'm down with it. That person has to die. I'm okay with that now. So you can take the audience on an arc and the characters can be consistent. Or you take the character on the arc and the audience is a voyeur. They sit back and go, I see how that changed. Wow, that's really changed him. That's pushed him outside his limit. Maybe Joker. He starts off as a shy guy, introvert. His laughter, he knows that's something that's wrong with him. And then he starts to break with reality. And that breaking from reality frees him. So he's gone, completely Captain Rats by the end of it. But now he's free. He has gone through that change. Even if you see how he walked up the stairs and then he does that crazy dance coming down those stairs, which is just so amazing. Like Joaquin Phoenix's physical performance is amazing in Joker. If you haven't seen it, pause this, go watch it, come back. So there's his journey. The other thing too, my old school motto, Punch Bowl Boys High, if you want to go look it up, is facta non verba, which means deeds, not words. What the school meant from that is go out and do good things, just don't talk about doing good things. Actually do the deed, not talk about doing the deed. And that's a little bit of a show don't tell. I didn't know my school was ever going to. It didn't teach me to read and write. I was basically illiterate when I left. But they've given me that one lesson, facta non verba. So you've got to show a scenario in which the character makes a decision early on if you're going to go for a traditional arc. Show them a scenario or show the audience a scenario which forces a decision to be made. It has to be internal. The decision has to be inside the character and we see it manifest. The decision has to be inside the audience and we see a manifestation. We go through and at the end, not the same thing, not like looking into a sunset and at the end of the show they're looking into a sunrise. Nothing that, cliche. But we pose them again where we get to see if their actions, if the factor of the non-verba, if their actions are now justified. How have they changed? We either face them with a similar scenario and see how they've changed, or we face them with the same scenario, let them do the same thing and let the audience feel the change. That's the two things we've here. We need the mirror image. We need it to be, that's if you're going to do this traditionally, and you're going to need to make sure that the outcomes are either the same or vastly different to show the arc. An arc also shouldn't be really heavily written. You shouldn't have these, I've always said don't have these beats and dot points along the way that you have to hit. It should be part of the character's story. And the reason an arc, either an audience's arc or a character's arc, is vastly important and incredibly important in your story. Imagine you've gone to a cinema, you've sat down, you've got your popcorn, you're ready to go, the lights come down, you watch a 2-hour film, and when you come out of it, you've learnt nothing, the characters learnt nothing, nothing really happened, and the situation is the same as it was at the start as it is at the end. We could have just started at the end of the film, because the situation is the same, the character's the same, the world's the same, nothing's changed. Audience, as an audience member, I haven't learned anything. The character didn't learn anything. Why was I here? I could be at the end of the film now because it's exactly the same as the start of the film. So think of an arc either on your character or on your story. Thank you again, everyone who's watched to the end, who's done all the social things, left comments, left questions, like, subscribed. A lot of people watch these videos, but they're not subscribed to it. I see that stat. So if you want to subscribe, you'll get noticed. If you find that there's joy in this for you or information or something that's paying off for you, hit the subscribe and you'll keep getting more of it. There is the Wednesday ones, which are little 60 seconds to 2-minute ones, just a simple thought. And then there's the Friday ones. So you get both if you subscribe. And until next time, guys, keep writing. Bye.